Welcome, everyone, to episode 18 of Wednesday Night Live. We got an excellent show for you guys tonight. Our special guest is Shane from Saddle Horse Blues, vape shopping from Canada, who's here to talk about how the new rules and regulations here in the U.S. are going to affect their business with U.S. customers. Also, Tim's got the news and advocacy. Tom's going to let us know what's cheesing him off. And I always laugh saying that. I don't know what it is. And we got our poll question of the week. So let's start the show by me saying hello to my team here. Tim, Brian, Tom, and our special guest Shane. Hello, guys, and welcome to Wednesday Night Live, Shane.
Thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really happy to have you here. We wanted to get somebody from outside the U.S. to kind of talk about, things that are going on elsewhere and not here in our little country. And so I was glad that you said you were available for tonight. So it's awesome.
Well, great. Glad to be here, like I said.
Yeah. Yeah. Tim.
Yeah.
How is Tim doing?
I'm doing really, really well. Before the show, I was thinking about actually, putting a little Gorilla Glue in my hair to kick off the festivities. But fortunately, Gorilla Glue actually tweeted out that it was not a good idea to use their products on your hair. So I avoided that mess. But I am starting a GoFundMe account for anybody that just wants to give me money for absolutely no reason, and any faults that I've ever made in my life that were on my own account that I completely disregarded the rules. So I'll put it up after the show. You can send me some money, and then I can get some more RGB for my room. Thanks.
I'll send you $1, Tim.
No, I'm doing good. It was actually warm here today. I freaked out a little bit. I didn't know what to do with myself. I kind of did a little dance when I got out of the car because I had a second jacket on, and I got out of the car and I'm like, God, it's hot. And I mean, mind you, we had snow here, which is
yeah. I saw I was blown away by that.
Well, you were blown away. I was blown away, dude. I live in Atlanta. People don't own snow shovels. Okay, Mom sends Dad out with a cookie sheet to shovel the snow off of the driveway because we're that lame and we never get snow here. So the dogs had some fun with it for about 3 seconds, and they were like, "Nope, I'm not doing that either." And I just, said my prayers and hoped that no one went inside all night, and life moves on.
Did you put chains on your tires?
No, in Atlanta, when it snows, you just basically it's like COVID all over again. You just go into quarantine and you don't leave the house. You don't go anywhere. You just stay home. Because here in Atlanta, if one snowflake comes down, people lose their shit. They don't know what to do. We had an ice storm here. 5 years ago before I moved here? People were trapped on the freeway for 3 hours. 3 hours. And it probably wasn't ice on the roads. So that's all I'm saying.
Oh, that's nuts. Brian, you get snow all the time. So how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, snow here really isn't that bad comparatively. So I'm doing pretty good. I've only had to bring out the snowblower once, so that's pretty nice. And then
send the snowblower to Tim.
Well, I mean, it's got its own drive, so you just put it in drive and just walk behind it. So you fly up here and just drive it down. Be fine.
The snow melts before any of that would even be able to come to fruition.
It goes up to 6 gears. You'd be fine. It goes plenty fast. And then especially on ice, you don't even need to fall behind it. Just put your feet down and slide across the ice.
Can I claim being a sovereign citizen when the cop pulls me over for driving a snowblower back to the United States? Or, I'm sorry, North Dakota is in the United States. No, but I mean, what? Because I'm traveling, sir. I'm just traveling. I'm not driving this thing. I'm traveling. So.
I need to get. You got burnt. I need that bumper.
Ooh, smoke, sizzle, burn. That's from when we were 9 years old.
You got burned.
Ooh, you burn.
And our Mr. Wisconsin, how are you doing there, Tommy boy?
Staying warm. After coming home from work and it was 30 below zero. Yeah. I'm just staying warm. Got the hoodie on tonight.
It's
I did bring up
below here.
It's 2 below here. I did break out the snowblower once.
That's
as Brian
insane.
said.
I can't even. I couldn't even handle myself. Mine is,
Honestly, it's really no different than if it was like just 32 degrees. Once you're cold, you're just cold.
no, I'm good. I'm good.
Zachary, no, not yet. It might be coming. I don't know. I haven't watched the news.
Tom don't watch the news.
Hell no. It's depressing.
Tom is his own meteorologist.
Yeah, he
He just goes outside.
Pretty much.
It's cold.
Look outside.
Yeah.
Yep, it's cold.
Yeah, he goes out his front porch and counts cows. That's all he
I
does.
don't have any cows in the front yard. They're down the road.
Took down the road. There's cows. There are more cows there than there are people in
Yeah.
Wisconsin. So,
Yeah.
end of story. And let's talk to Shane. Shane, how are you doing, and how cold are you?
I'm doing pretty good today. It got up to minus 30 today, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Heat wave.
You need Brian's snowblower?
No, actually, you know what? I don't even.
You don't even care.
Nah.
I live out in the country, so snowblower would be useless. 4-wheel drive truck, and hopefully the grader comes by after when things get really bad.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, especially if you live out there in the country. Country folk are a lot different. They don't need to go to the mall. They don't need to go get coffee at the coffee house.
Yeah, well, we used to live in the city and kind of miss a lot of that stuff. It's a trade-off. We love living out here, but every now and then it's nice to get some takeout or a drive-through thing. And we don't have that anymore. It's several hours away.
No Uber Eats. They ain't going to come out to where you're at. No,
we don't. Couriers don't even come out here.
They don't even want to come out there.
No. In Canada, the Uber driver just drops off a snare trap and says, "Good luck."
Good luck. Oh. All right. We'll get right into questions for you, and I got a new bumper for our guest, so I wanted to give it a try. So here is Shane from Saddle Horse Blues. All right. How you guys like that? I'm trying to do our own things because we have to be royalty free. So been in trouble enough with Facebook and YouTube to have learned my lesson now. So I'm going to just keep everything royalty free. So Shane, we'd like to get started with all our guests and let us know your journey, how you got started. Were you a smoker, stuff like that? So the show is yours.
Well, I grew up in a house where my father smoked, my grandparents smoked, everybody smoked. So I probably tried my first one when I was about 8, just out of curiosity, right? And it was gross, and I put it down and didn't touch another one until I was probably 13. And then, 13, I started smoking. All my friends were smoking. Everybody in school was smoking. Back then, we had a smoking lounge in my high school.
Yep.
So, you could smoke on airplanes. Smoking was pretty prevalent. However, so I smoked for like close to, 28, 30 years, something like that. But one time when we were in the States at a mall, somebody at a kiosk showed me a cig-alike thing. And this is back in 2010 or so. And I thought it was just a scam. Like I thought there's no way it could be like a cigarette, right? And I didn't know anything about it. Fast forward a year or so, and I started hearing more things and doing a little research online. And so I picked up a kit that was a cig-alike, and I puffed on it, and it was okay. I didn't have a cigarette that day. And the next day I went to try it again, and for some reason, it was gross and it didn't work. What I didn't know is you had to add more juice. Right? So I tossed it away, and I'm off to get some cigarettes. So I smoked for another couple of year and a half or something. At that time, my dad got cancer, and his cancer doctor asked him if he had tried vaping because, my dad had been smoking by that time for probably 50, 60 years, like a long time. So his cancer doctor asked him if he could try vaping to cut down on his smoking. So he picked one up and he quit smoking that day. So he's telling me, and I'm like, well, I've heard about it. I'm going to try it again. So I went and I got a little better kit. This time with a little, I think it was an Anakin and a Spire tank or something like that. And the flavor was really good, and I enjoyed it. And since that day, because I had a little bit better kit and a bit better flavor and the right amount of nicotine, I quit smoking that day, and I haven't smoked since. And that was in 2012, early 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't long after that I started pressuring my wife to quit smoking, and she had no interest in it. Like, she was also a long-term smoker and didn't have any desire to change. So I kept trying to, hey, try this, puff this. What do you think of this flavor and stuff like that? And by this time, I'm starting to build my own coils and try some different RDAs and things and tanks and stuff. And one day she goes, "Yeah, that one's pretty good." And so I just let it be. And then she started picking it up on her own, and was a dual user for a short time. And then she also switched to vaping. So we've been at it now for probably, I guess, I don't know,
10 years.
9 years, roughly.
Yeah.
So, and as I was building coils and visiting vape shops, we're still living back in the city at this time, and I'm getting kind of obsessed with building coils. And people started asking for them, and I started supplying a few vape shops with them, and demand just kept increasing. So by about early 2015, we launched our website to make them available to everyone. And so we've just been doing that ever since. We're just my wife and I run the shop, so it's just the two of us. We make the coil, or I make the coils, and Brandy handles all the customer service and most of our photography. And we do a lot of advocacy work where we try to, we're very active on Twitter, and we're on Instagram and everywhere else. But yeah,
your wife has gotten amazing with her photos.
Oh yeah,
She has gotten amazing. Sorry, I just wanted to add that she's gotten so good with her photography. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I can't keep up. There's gave up a long time ago.
And these are some of you guys may know his coils. They're Saddle Horse Blues coils. You got everything on there. You got the series coils, MTL coils, aliens. What did I order from you? I ordered alien coils from you, I think, and staggered fuse Claptons, I think, and another one I can't remember. But your coils are amazing, and I couldn't wait to actually take pictures of them when I got them. I was like, I got to put these in an RDA and take pictures of them.
Thank you for that.
And this is his website. Brian, can you put this put the website links, and he's on Facebook. No, sorry, not on Facebook. Twitter, IG, and their website will be links to their stuff will be in the chat, guys. And also, if you have questions for Shane too, coil questions, I'm more than happy to answer those as well. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish, Shane. Are you?
I guess that's about it. Like I say, we're quite involved as we can be with everybody in the community. So I'm sure a lot of people have met us along the way.
Yeah, a lot of people were excited when I told them you were going to be on. They're like, I got coils for him. Tim's got coils. I think I recommended Tim to you when I got my coils. They're like, these coils are awesome, man.
Yeah, no, I was sitting here trying to find I took pictures and shared them all over Facebook and everything. I mean, I can vouch there's some fantastic coils. The only knock I would have, and it's not Shane's fault or anybody's fault in this process, is I'm in America, he's in Canada. It costs a little bit more for shipping. So unless you're prepared for that, hit that, and that's before any of this vape ban stuff. It's the reality of international shipping. That's what it takes. So
shipping it hits everybody.
Yeah,
everybody.
And it goes both ways. It goes both ways, right?
Yeah,
so and you would think, I mean, I get that we have to have, policies that exist, but you would think that since our countries butt up to each other like that, and we are allies in the greater sense of the word, you would think that we would have some sort of a copacetic mechanism to, yeah, there you go, Zach. Zach said Shane wasn't vaping. I said, yeah, he does. You'll see it eventually.
He's a power user.
He's not. Don't think he's fooling you. He's not like he's not like a tattoo artist that doesn't have tattoos. They exist. They are real. But I can't find the pictures right now. Beautiful coils. You know what? I'm a sucker for the packaging, and I love the little tins that they come in, the little slider tins. Mm-hmm. I love those things. I don't know why. So I saved those. I have them somewhere. Yeah,
well, they're great to use later on for putting your screws and O-rings and all the little.
Oh, heck yeah. That's
they gather around. Hey.
They remind me of little mini sardine cans.
All right, Shane. How closely are you paying attention to new policies and regulations here in the U.S.? And is there any that will affect your day-to-day business with the U.S. customers?
Yeah, we pay quite close attention. I mean, we're so interconnected, not only our two countries, but our, the vape scene itself and Vape Fam. So we pay as much attention as we can, through Vaping 360 or all the other places that there is, right? All the Twitter stuff and everywhere that we can. So we're paying attention, and it's kind of sad actually because we are paying attention.
Yeah.
It's frustrating to see all the mounting attacks against vaping and all the increased regulations, and it just never ends. Like, as soon as some are in place, more are coming. So it's the same almost as we're seeing here in Canada, right? It's very, there are some differences, but there's a lot of parallels where we are. I guess I'll start off with maybe one of the differences, if I can. Like we at one time in Canada, when they made vaping legal, they regulated it and they put a bunch of regulations and standards that we all had to follow. And at the time, that was not a bad set of regulations. I think in the U.S. at that time, you were facing the the August 8th thing in 2016 and stuff. So. At the time, it seemed like we were on to more reasonable regulations than in the U.S. But very quickly after, they started backtracking and changing and eating away at that the regulations that we did have, and started closing things down. So,
Bill is one of our Canadian viewers. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're both affected by the propaganda, right? Like I think that a bad video gets out, or some of these insane things that Truth Initiative or whoever is putting out, we all see it. All our politicians see it too, and they're all affected by it, and start making decisions based on what they're seeing. And I don't know. Here in Canada, the media was really, really bad for promoting anti-vape stories and the Valley thing and all that. I don't have access to watch as much American media as I'd like because I watch stuff on the internet, but I don't get your network TV. But I know on ours it was just horrible.
Yeah. Do you notice a difference in your customers coming in when a bad video pops up, or do they come in and start questioning what they just saw from the U.S. happening?
We do get a lot of people come and ask us questions like, is vaping going to survive? Yeah. Is it still going to be available? Like, and can I still get my stuff? Will I still be able to access these products that, and rightfully so, these people are all quite concerned if they're going to be able to still access vaping products. And I was always wondering how our media, our news articles and stuff, when we had mods blowing up and stuff like that, I was kind of always wondering how the customers in other countries were going to the vape shops and asking, hey, what I just saw, is this true? Can this really happen?
And does it, how much it affects your business when stuff, because you don't see that stuff. I don't think you guys remember any videos coming from anywhere else other than the US about batteries blowing up. I don't think so. I don't think I've ever seen one from Europe, Italy, even France. Those are big vape communities, Italy, France, England, but I don't think I've ever even saw one from England. You guys?
I saw one that turned out to be a hoax, but that was an actual video.
Yeah.
I haven't seen.
No? Me personally, no. I think I may have seen some random stories with, the stories about batteries blowing up in people's pockets, and I don't know if they were all uniquely U.S. Like they seemed to be captured on camera or something, like some closed circuit camera, like in a shop or something, and you'd see this big flash or something. I want to say a couple of those were not from America, but I don't quote me on that one.
Yeah. Let's see here. Bill's got he used majority of the anti-vaping from the U.S. Oh yeah, that's true. Well, that's what I'm afraid of because we're so close to each other, and U.S. policy is they want to do basically whatever the U.S. is doing, which is kind of sad. But
it's the lobbyists, I think, right? It's the Karens and it's the Bloombergs that are making a lot of noise consistently, and they have access to some of the policymakers that you and I don't.
Yeah,
right? Because some of these are coming from well-funded, connected people. So
yeah, we know where Bloomberg's money's going.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Can you talk about some of the rules and regulation that shop owners go through there in Canada as far as bottle size, nicotine strengths that are available to your customers? Because we talked about this, I don't think a lot of people here realize that you really can't, you don't get big bottles there. It's you kind of implemented some of the stuff from England and then kind of your own stuff as well. So,
yeah, we and it's in flux, right? It's an ever-changing thing. Like right now, we're up against nicotine limits that they're reducing by 70%. But when it first started off, some of the things that we couldn't do as a shop was advertising, and we couldn't make comparative risk statements, right, which is a bit of a problem, right? We couldn't say that it's less harmful than smoking. That would be illegal. And then what they started doing was they took away, or they made it, they put a regulation in that we can't have any testimonials. So no longer can have a picture of somebody vaping on a website or on social media even. No longer. They also said no testimonials from anyone, real or imagined. So we can't have
imagined.
Yeah. So we can't have characters on or show characters on any devices. So things like a skull or a face or a bird or something like that on a mod is now illegal to show that.
Wow.
Now they keep always coming back with, well, this is to limit the appeal of these products to children. Right. But I don't know a child anywhere who's going to spend close to $300
yeah,
for something they don't know how to build or use.
Right.
They're going to buy a $20 puff, whatever.
A $10 pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, that's right. And so then after that, they put a regulation in that everything has to be child-proof in Canada, or child-resistant, I guess, is the actual legal. And it has to pass a bunch of testing in order to get that certification. The problem with that is that there were no products that were child-resistant, had that certification. Now, some of those products have started coming online, from a few tanks, but it's very, very limited. Now, one thing that nobody has come out with yet is a child-resistant RDA.
Yeah.
So what they've basically done is make this illegal. Right?
Oh, wow.
So that just came into effect January 1st. Now, before that, back in December, they dropped a thing saying that they're going to restrict nicotine further, and they're going to reduce it from an allowable 66 milligrams per milliliter to 20.
Okay.
So that's a 70% drop. And
Right.
and then next is flavors, right? They've already indicated that they're going to attack flavors next. And they do this in a staggered way where before you have a chance to fully deal with the issue at hand, they release a
Something.
plan,
Yeah.
the next thing, right? For example, and they're pretty crafty. They dropped this last Canada Gazette, which is where they publish all their intended legislation. They dropped that, I think it was December 18th, right? So, and then there's a 90-day ticker on
Grace,
that.
yeah, Grace.
Well,
yeah.
they drop it on a Friday before Christmas, and meanwhile, everybody's just trying to make it through Christmas in a pandemic, right? So it's never ending, it seems.
Yeah.
It hasn't been for quite a while.
So they're really going after rebuildables.
Oh yeah,
they're just they're really
And that's and I'm pretty sure they'll come up with some more regulations to chew away at rebuildables even further, but pods will be next or something, right? It's just a never-ending attack.
I wonder if they're going that route because they realized the DIY factor with the rebuildables, that that person can go and buy wire anywhere. He can go and buy cotton anywhere, and it can be something that's not regulated or paid attention to by the government, because wire's wire. You can go get wire just about anywhere. And cotton, as long as it's what is it, chlorine free or
bleach free. But the problem as I see it is it pisses me off to no end about the rebuildables market, because I'm a coil builder and I love mechs, and that's my place in the community. But what pisses me off is that as they keep attacking these things, it just impedes the chances of smokers to quit. Yeah. It makes it easier for people who have never done vaping or smoking to choose smoking instead of vaping, because there's also attacks on things like, can we get them out of a certain kind of stores? Can we have them in only certain? Well, all that does is limit that access to people who need or want these products. I live in an area where there is no vape shop. So if you can't buy it at a gas station or a convenience store, or then you're out of luck, right? Yeah. Like it's a 2.5 hour drive to a vape shop or online, right?
Wow.
So, is just hitting it a piece at a time. They win a little bit here, they win a little bit here and there, and they just keep coming.
Yeah. And you guys are limited to the milligrams as well, right? You can't have anything over 25. Is that right?
It's set at 66 right now, currently, since they first did the regulations on vaping. But the proposal is to lower that to 20.
Wow.
So,
I mean the nicotine level.
Yes.
So I thought you guys were always limited at 25. You couldn't buy anything over 25 milligrams of nicotine.
No, we could. We were allowed up to 66.
Oh wow! I always thought it was limited to 25 milligrams. And salt products are starting to be really looked at closely there as well, right?
Yeah, and they'll fall under the same rules. It'll only be 20 milligrams per milliliter or 2%.
2%.
Yeah. So what that does is obviously kill some products that are on the market already that don't offer anything 20 or lower. But it makes it harder for a lot of smokers to quit. And the government has even acknowledged, it's crazy what they've acknowledged in this proposed legislation. One of the things they say is that we know that this is going to probably mean more people will smoke. They will pick up smoking, or they will be unable to continue vaping because they won't be able to get the nicotine levels that they're accustomed to. And so they acknowledge that this policy will mean more smokers.
Oh, that was British Columbia. Okay. Thank you, Bill. He's our other staff.
Yes. Yeah.
You guys have any follow-up questions for that? You guys, Tim, Tom, Brian?
Oh, I was gonna. I had something on the tip of my tongue. I hate to use
It'll
the
hit you.
word. I'll circle back.
Circle. Oh,
I'll
yeah. You just
circle
want.
back.
You've been dying to use that word. Yeah. Let me hit you with this other question here. Do you feel the Canadian government is paying more attention to U.S. policy on vaping, or are they paying more attention to the science and policies of vaping established in England? Well, obviously, from what you've been
No.
saying.
I think neither of those things. Like I said, I think it's the lobbyists. I think it's the Karens, and I think it's the people who have an endless ability to just keep screaming fear, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. What's funny is that our prime minister, when he was elected and during his campaign, made promises that we will only do science-based decision making. Right? And he kept saying that over and over. Because the ones before them were even more horrible with science-based acts. So anyway, they've been very disappointing.
Now, I don't know how your government works, but do they have any say what's going on there in Canada at all as far as vaping? Because they have pretty much accepted it as, it's in hospitals. It's, you can buy a mod in a hospital over there and it's everywhere. Do they have any influence at all, England, saying, hey, Canada, no, this is how we're doing it? I think maybe you should look deeper into this and change some of your policies, or is that just not possible?
No. I mean, they have a couple of good shows on Netflix. That's about it for influence.
Oh, wow.
No, there's no. I was just making a joke there. The British government has no influence on Canadian policy
at all. I know where you're going there.
Which is too bad.
It is.
Because what's happening since Valley and for quite a while now is there has been a lot more science coming out. There's more reports coming out every day, and the evidence is overwhelming that vaping is substantially better than smoking. Now, even in our government's latest paper, they pulled a number and said it's 80% less risky than smoking, and they got that number from a group of 5 people that they spent the weekend with talking about these things. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Let's circle back to Tim. Do you remember?
Well, I was going to ask about. I don't know how I thought that the Canadian health system was a little bit more, dare I say, socialized in that sense. But I'm belittled by the fact that no one pays attention to any of that science. So my question was more about the politicians there. I'm going to guess that they're more inclined to listen to the bunk science or the manufactured, paid for science that the lobbyists kind of put out, because I don't know, somehow that holds more weight than, say, an organization like the Cochrane Library, who doesn't take any funding or any money from what's the word I'm looking for? Not contradictory, but influenced organizations that have an agenda to drive. They conflict of interest organizations. So is Health Canada just sort of? I mean, you and Bill would know, but I mean, why is it that they don't look at any of the positive science and only the negative science? Seems like maybe they're just in bed with the politicians then.
Well, I think that it's a very political thing, right? If we were making the decisions based on the science, we would definitely promote vaping here in this country because, like you said, we do have socialized healthcare. So when people get sick from smoking related illness, that's taxpayer money. So it would make sense for us to do things, have policies that would reduce that harm. But it looked like we might go that way briefly and blink and it was gone.
Right.
Crazy. Yeah, I knew that we had such a big influence on Canada as far as vaping, but I didn't realize it was that much. And it sounds like it's a lot what goes on.
Yeah.
Tim, Brian, Tom, any questions for Shane? Coil questions, anything, throw them at him. He's an amazing coil builder, so.
I'm sure Brian has something.
I actually have a question.
Go.
How did you come up with the name of your website?
Good question, Tommy.
That's a good question. For a little while, I struggled because I wanted to find something that I could get the name on Twitter and Instagram and the .com and everything. So I tried about 1,000 things and they were all taken. And Brandy said, well, just relax. Why don't you just listen to some music you like and on all that. So I put on my headphones and I listened to my favorite song at that time was My Saddle Horse Has Died by the Smalls. And so, it's got kind of a rock and blues kind of feel to it. So I came up with Saddle Horse Blues.
It's a great logo too. Your logo's awesome.
Isn't that funny how names for things like that are just like epiphany moments? Like after all of the name crunching you could possibly do, and you're looking up copyrights and all the other stuff. It's like you just 1 minute, it comes to you in a moment, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, you just walk away from it, and
exactly, there it is.
Yeah.
No, I'm not really familiar with the vaping sphere in Canada, but what on a scale, I mean, how big is the vaping community, say countrywide? I mean, I don't think anyone really knows. I mean, is it overly popular or is it a real, smaller minority?
I think it's, on a per capita basis, I think it's pretty similar to the US. I think, we've got a smoking population of about 17%, 15%, something like that, and much higher in some marginalized communities. But I don't know the numbers on how many people vape. I think there's like 1,200 vape shops countrywide. You see it more and more. Like it used to be when I first started vaping, and even for the first 2, 3, 4 years, you would be vaping on the street or in your car, and somebody else be vaping and be like, "Oh, hey,
yeah, yeah."
Now it's pretty common to, you see it from smoking on some days.
That's it's just a shame, really, to see so many people finally start getting it. And I think for me overall, it just the answer is obvious and glaring, is that there's a lot of revenue involved here that people are afraid of losing. I mean, I guess that's why I asked about your healthcare system, because UK is similar in a lot of ways, right? Because in a socialized healthcare environment, there's a lot more leeway for people to be helped. Whereas, say, we come from a privatized system that's all about, monetary drive. So they want you sick and they want you unhealthy, because then that way they continue to make money. So it's just sad to see so many people have a great opportunity taken away from them.
Yes, it is. And, it's sad when you see it coming from places like the Lung Association or the cancer societies and things like that.
Now, as far as the C stores, how are things in there? I mean, is it like us here where they're just full of disposables and stuff like that?
In the C stores, I think so, right? I think it's all starter kits and disposables, and whatever popular pod you can think of.
And is there? Do you guys have the same problems we're having here with C stores selling to minors there? Is that an issue there? Is that something that's happening, or?
Well, there'll be a debate, and I'll say my piece and somebody's going to disagree with me, but I think no. The government's own data shows from, a whole bunch of anonymous surveys from young people that they get their vapes from social sources, right? So what that means is somebody that is old enough is buying it for them.
Yeah.
All right. Like everything we do here, like you can't mail it without ID and signatures and all that stuff. So if young people are getting them, they're getting them from older friends or
family members,
somebody who's getting them legally.
Yeah.
Same thing happens with beer or whatever. So there was a lot of fight from some people in the industry here to try and get it out of C stores. I fight, and my wife and I fought against that and still would, because somebody my age in their 50s wants to quit smoking, they're not going to walk into a vape shop. They're just not. They're going to quit when they see it at the cash register. They might quit on a whim when they're getting gas, right?
Yeah, that impulse buy.
They're not going to walk into a vape shop. They're going to walk into a gas store or a convenience store or a gas station. So,
is there regulations there for disposables as well? Right? I'm sure they have.
Not that as far as
you would. I mean, you're a
for disposables. I don't think so.
Yeah. So you got the vast supply of disposables like we do. You can walk into a C store and it's just, every brand you can imagine sitting there.
Well, one thing here is that we don't see them in public. So whether it's cigarettes or vape products, if you're in a vape store, you can show the products. But if the vape products are being sold in a gas station or cigarettes, they have to be behind a screen or behind a door where you can't see them. So you have to know that they carry that product and then ask for it.
Oh, I didn't know. You guys know that? That's kind of different.
I can attest to the fact that Australia is exactly the same way. I mean, you kind of know they have stuff because you see this unique big white case behind them with a lock on it, and it's shut. So that's your first indicator that you can at least buy cigarettes or tobacco products, because that's the dead giveaway. So I'm familiar with that environment where, I mean, this was the question I was that popped up, but I was saying, so this is a tough question because this one goes out to a lot of different, and I think there's a million different answers, and I don't know that there's any one right one. But to you, Shane, if you could pick one sacrifice in vaping, what would that one thing be if it meant you could save vaping in totality?
If I could give up,
if there's one thing, I know, I know where your mind is right now because I'm in the same boat. I'm just saying, but if you could pick one thing, you could say, all right, I could concede that, and it would save vaping. What would it be?
Because I fight so hard to save vaping as a category. I don't have a list in my mind. Every time there's an attack on vaping in any corner of vaping, I feel that it's important to try and save it, because every piece that gets whittled away won't be there to fight for the next piece that's getting whittled on, right? So, no, I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
That's the thing. That's the thing, because we've all grown up with our parents, telling us, once you give something up and you give it away, they'll come back for more, and then they'll take more, and they'll take more, and we've seen that.
Yes. No, fundamentally, I agree with that statement. Yeah.
He's got one. Yeah.
If it would save vaping, I would give up Vape Fam.
Vape Fam.
If it would save vaping, I wouldn't care that there was disunity or I don't know, like
like that community.
Because I don't want to give up something that I wouldn't give up anything that would actually work for a person to help them stay off cigarettes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing. It's so easy for people to say, well, get rid of disposables. Get rid of disposables. That'll stop kids from buying it. But that also stops the guy that's going into the C store, that's getting gas, and looks over and goes, you know what, maybe I'll try this today. Yeah. That's going to be gone, because like
that window's open very briefly.
Yeah. Right? And
that
that guy's not going to go to a vape shop. He's not going to get up one day and go, oh, I'm just going to go drive to the local vape shop and see what this is all about. That's not going to happen. Because I think we all impulse buy, right? Tim, you did, right?
Yeah.
I mean, your first mod.
My middle name is Impulse Buy.
Yeah, we know that. Shane, he literally has shopping carts full of vape stuff that he still has to go and buy.
Stop! Don't.
You're embarrassing him.
That's my secret. It's just I stare at it for an hour and a half, and I go, "Can my credit card handle that?" And then I go and I do crunch a bunch of numbers. I'm like, "All right."
Yeah, he's afraid to close the tabs because that cart might get erased, and he might not remember when he put it.
You know what? There's a reason behind why you load your cart up and you just let it sit there, because eventually you start getting a bunch of emails from that company going, "Hey, so and such. You left a bunch of stuff in your cart. Hurry back now and finish your purchase. And I'm thinking, if I hold out long enough, they'll send me like a 20% coupon, to encourage me to finally hit the buy button. That's the whole reason behind that.
It's hard. Now you got me thinking. What I get?
I have one. I have one. I have one, even though I don't agree with it. But and I wouldn't want it to be a dramatic one, so I'm kind of parsing a little bit here. But I would say maybe a little bit of give and take on the nick levels that some of them have kind of gotten to. I mean, I think, and I'll state my point for that. Because one of the things that I talked about in the news and advocacy portion was the fact that one of the big inconsistencies in vaping and why they can't kind of nail it down to at what point vaping becomes a success story for literally anyone or everyone that wants to go that route is, how do you deliver a relative experience to smoking? Okay, because if smoking keeps you in the game, because it may not be for taste. Sure, some people like the taste of cigarettes. Maybe that older guy who's been smoking for 30 years and he likes his, Tribeca, Egyptian, tobaccos. But what I'm saying is that, if you can walk into a C-store or a gas station and you go, hey, I want to try that. God forbid I have to say the name, but there's a Juul behind the counter, and I want to try it. And that thing is loaded up with 55 or 65 milligrams of nicotine per milliliter. Is that really what gives you that relativity to an actual cigarette? Because if you take a cigarette on its own and you measure that, you could say, well, I'm only getting X. So I have sometimes questioned, is 50, 55, 60 necessary for someone trying to quit smoking? I'm not convinced of that. So if I had to give something and they say, okay, well, we'll bring it down to 45, not 20, like you mentioned. I think 20 is way too low. I might concede there. That would be about the only place that I would go and say, well, fine. If 60 is too much, go 45.
What about a little pushback, Tim?
No, it's fine. Yeah.
Because if you have the high nicotine, low wattage, low power devices, that is the closest experience to a cigarette, right?
Right.
So I think those are the most effective for long-term smokers.
Right.
I don't see a lot of long-term smokers come to my shop, or new vapors, right? Because they don't know what to do with these. But they want the starter kits, and if the starter kits that they get have 20 milligrams, a lot of those people that try them, it's not going to work for them.
1000% agree. And I certainly believe that someone who's getting into the game for the first time and needs something to help them transition, because like I would say for the average vapor here, everyone here is experienced. Everyone here in the chat is already a vapor. They kind of already know. I don't think we have too many first time early on quitters. So I would say a lot of us have the luxury of saying, well, I don't really need that 50 milligram, pod. I don't need that. I don't need that to transition off. So I'm not disagreeing with the idea that the low wattage, high milligram nicotine vaping isn't something that's going to provide success for that next generation of quitter. Because in all reality, we look back at our journeys, where did we all start? We were on lower wattage devices with freebase nicotine anywhere from 24 to 36. And that was about our starting point. We never really climbed into the 50. That was sort of out of our realm. And then as the devices became more proficient and we could get more power and bigger hits and deliver nicotine faster, we quickly came down, because there was no way you were going to pull an RDA and drop 36 on there and take a big old rip and not feel a little
we tried to get Tom.
And I know the question that I asked.
I did it with 15. It wasn't fun.
Exactly. And I know that the question that I asked is a very tough one, because Shane, I 1000% agree. I don't want anything to be given up. I think any form of tobacco harm reduction should be in play, and it should be accessible to everyone 100% of the time, no matter how they have to get it. Because, again, you're a prime example. I don't agree with taking it out of taking away the online market, because there's a lot of people who can't get to a vape shop. There's a lot of people that can't get to a C-store on a regular basis, because if you're going to be successful, you need that stuff on a regular basis, right? So, again, I don't want to give anything up, just like the next person. I just have to ask the question because,
it's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a tough one though.
Yeah.
It's tough, but yeah.
You're almost if you've been around long enough, you're almost afraid to answer it because you know you're going to piss somebody off.
I'm sure I'm getting slammed in some groups right now. They're probably like, yeah, there's this loser with long hair on some live show talking about how we lower the nick levels.
I mean, that's if you think about it too, I mean, that's pretty much the first thing that came up in conversation, but after the disposables, it was like, let's get rid of the disposables. And when they realized, that was going to be impossible, it's like, okay, let's go after the nick levels, because now there's some devices, some of those disposables, people don't realize some of them are 60 that are out there. And I didn't realize that like that bang, I thought that was 50. And I was wondering why I was getting so lightheaded from hitting that thing. And then I realized it's 60 milligrams. And I go, no wonder I'm getting, I'm actually getting a buzz from this stupid little device that I haven't gotten in many, many years from anything that I've vaped, for the last 8 years. I haven't had a buzz in 8 years from nicotine. But yeah, it's just that old saying, you don't want to give nothing up, because that just opens the door for them to start picking away. And with the COVID situation, and as sneaky as these sons of bitches have been during this COVID, knowing that they can go ahead and process these policies and regulations, and knowing there's absolutely nothing we can do to fight it, because we can't go to these meetings, we can't go to the hearings, we can't rally, we can't petition out in front of a building because we'll get arrested for that. So, they're leaving it up to this virtual debate thing, and most of these people don't know how to get online, or what's even worse is a lot of these counties don't have the internet providers to help stream that kind of content into the courthouses for people to actually debate this process through Zoom or whatever media they're using. It's horrible, and they're sneaky ass and just sneak like Cuomo sneaking it into his budget. He knew nobody was going to be able to fight that. Nobody can go to court. Nobody could go. No one in New York shut down completely. So, and now I hear, it kind of sounds like they're doing basically the same thing there to you guys in Canada. Just kind of sneak it in there and hope nobody shows up.
Well, and they stagger them. And I think it was really well thought out, because there are, we are so fractured in this industry that, we don't stick up for each other sometimes. So I think that it was a pretty calculated thing they did by attacking rebuildables first, because that's these days, that's the smaller part of the market, right? Yeah. Everybody's got their tanks and their pods, and so that was an easier one, and there was no pushback, like from industry groups, hardly from anyone, right? There's a little bit. I don't want to say nobody said anything, but there wasn't enough to make a difference. And now with the nicotine, next they were already talking about doing flavors, and then obviously the one after that will be taxes, right?
Yep.
So we need to start working together, I think.
Have they been discussing taxes? Raising well, they have to always go both. They always go after the cigarettes as well, so they don't look like they're just picking on the e-liquid companies. So they want to make sure they add a tax to the cigarettes. And
they haven't federally said anything about that, but the provinces are all individually coming up with their own taxes. So I think BC's already got a 20% tax on all vapor products. And I think some other provinces are getting close. Quebec, I think, is close to doing something. So it's another thing another attack that's coming.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I mean, we're not smokers anymore, but it just seems like, when are they going to realize you can raise that price of cigarettes as high as you want? People are going to still keep buying it. I was that guy when I started smoking cigarettes. they were 72 cents a pack. And I remember saying, they get to $1, I'm quitting. They get to $1.50, I'm quitting. They get to $2, I'm quitting. And you just keep buying. They're going to keep buying these cigarettes. That's not, to me, I think they're trying to use that as a form of harm reduction. It's like,
well, they keep two things they keep going back to is the youth picking up vaping, and this whole gateway thing, right? And it's getting a little tired because the data shows there is no gateway. I mean, we know. Ask any vapor if they would rather have a cigarette once in a while just for the taste of it. No.
no, thank you.
I think the gateway thing is really their. As stupid as it is, they're creating their own gateway, right? Because let's just say a kid is vaping. I don't know that kid was a smoker before, but let's just say that he picked it up on a whim because his buddies told him how to get a good buzz off of 14 Juul pens stuck into a styrofoam cup, whatever, right? Okay, that weird stuff goes on. We were all kids. We did stupid stuff. It's going to happen. But they're creating their own gateway because now they're attacking vaping exclusively. They want to basically rip that out under the guise that it's to save the kids, to get the kids away from it. And now you got these kids who are, quote unquote, potentially hooked on nicotine, or at least like the nicotine effects. They don't have any other options. Where are they going to go? They are going to turn to smoking because that's the next thing that they're going to be able to get their hands on.
See, and it's funny because now it's switching, and I see it in Canada and around the world as well. It's not so much a war on smoking anymore; it's a war on nicotine, right? So they can lump us in, and the Canadian government's approach seems to be, if we can smash vaping down, then we'll deal with smoking. But what they, even in their own documents, admit that they know squashing vaping will increase smoking. So I don't.
Yeah. Now, do you guys, I'm not aware, but do you guys have something like we do with the master settlement agreement there with Canada? Or are you guys getting money? There is no. No.
It's just a straight up tax play.
It's a straight up tax play. Yeah, I was wondering if you guys had gone that far. I'm really never really researched to see if any other country went the same route the U.S. did in going after them for some money, which we know they're not using for what they're supposed to be using it for, but.
Yeah.
Tom and Brian, anything for any other questions for our guest there, Shane? Brian's got one. He's looking for his unmute button.
Well, I've just been kind of absorbing with a lot like that you've been talking about in Canada and stuff, and kind of the play up there is different than it is down here, completely different, but they still use kind of like the same tactics. Do you see yourself changing, kind of like being more aggressive on trying to see what's upcoming with the laws and stuff versus before?
I'm not sure I quite understand, Brian. Like,
so like if they come out with different, say, laws and stuff, but they're more sneaky about it, do you find yourself being more observant on when things are coming out and trying to be more proactive about it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We're trying to watch as much as we can. It's just so fast moving though. There's a lot of moving parts and things, but we've developed some really good relationships and even friendships with people over the years. And they still get our coils and everything. We're not going to leave anyone hanging. That's for sure. That I can say for sure.
Okay, Bill laid it out right there. Tommy boy, got a coil building question? Look at him.
Nope. I'm just listening.
He's good. He's a good listener, huh, guys? Tom's a good listener.
If I ever have like a heavy heart or something, I'm just gonna call Tom.
just sit there and listen.
I'm just gonna call Tom.
He's every girlfriend's best dream there. Just listen.
Hi, Brian.
Yeah, Brian was so excited about his new setup. He just bailed on it.
Maybe the snowstorm hit there and just knocked his power out. Who knows?
Yeah, they left vaping but took away internet in North Dakota.
Yeah. Well, I got a kind of a coil question for you. What was that first coil that you built that you finally nailed? What was that one hard coil that you saw on IG and you said I can do that?
The first one that I was really impressed with and wanted to build right away was a frame staple.
That's a bitch stuff.
Yeah, and of course I think on hand at the time I had 42 gauge. So I think originally Squid Dude on his video, he had done it with 36 or something like that for the wrap wire. So I had 42 and it was so fine. And I'm squeezing this spool for so long. Like I ended up giving myself carpal tunnel syndrome. But I was determined to make it.
Well, with his videos, it was hard to kind of pay attention to what was going on. The video quality was always awesome, but then he'd start getting goofy, and it was just like, well, wait a minute, what did he do right there? Because it was just like, what did he do? He changed it, and so it was always fun watching him when he would work with I forget what's his name. They would do some stupid coil, and they would add like 30 different types of wires on it, and they had some funky name for it, But this is some of your work. I wanted to.
A lot of that stuff was fun to watch, and it's still up, I guess, for everybody. The Twisted Messes and Squid Dude and M Turk and those guys.
Yeah,
the videos for people.
Yeah, what's his name? His earlier videos, the Twisted Messes, at his home there on his table. They were some great videos. Everybody's like, "Who is this dude?" And now look, it's just like he went from this guy doing these coils on his kitchen table to where he is today with the RDAs and what else? Does he have a mod? I don't think he's got his own mod yet, right? I
He
think
did at one time. It was a dog hole thing or something. At one time.
Twisted, yeah, he had his own mod. It was with Doppo.
It was with Doppo.
It was gold and black.
Yeah, you can find all his coils there on the website, and Brian will put the link up there again for you guys. And you can find him on Twitter. You can find him on IG. His wife does an amazing job with those photos. I always love seeing your stuff up there. You guys' IG page is always fun to go and look and see your stuff. And you guys are very active on IG, which is awesome too as well.
Can I add to that compliment?
Go ahead, brother.
I just want to say, how sometimes, and this is a horrible parallel, so please don't think. I'll always disclaim when Tim's brain is just jacked up and comes up with a horrible parallel. But you ever notice, like, when you go into like a restaurant or like fast food restaurants in particular, like you see the picture on the wall and like that burger or that thing just looks just impeccable, like it's just stacked so right, it's like, and then you get it and you take it out of the wrapper and it's just like the representation is completely opposite. It's all smashed or soggy looking. I just want to say, and this is no knock on any other coil builder because I know everybody puts their whole effort into it. But what you see in those pictures on his website, Shane is an impeccable coil builder. His coils in real life are that pretty. Like when you get that, like here, I finally found my pictures. John, can I share my screen?
Yeah, share.
Yeah, hold on one second. Oh wow, I can share video files. I didn't know I could do that.
Yeah, that's a new feature.
I won't do that. I
did. We don't want to see your porn.
No, you don't want to see that. No, it doesn't look as good as what you see on the internet. Now, this picture is a little small. I don't know if I can actually blow. Can you make pictures bigger on?
Yeah, you can close your chat.
Well, I mean, this was the package when I got it. You get a little bit of cotton in there. You get some Japanese cotton squares. There's those fantastic little tins that I love with the red lining in it. Gives you all the specs on the outside. I think I may have only bought those two particular sets. And to be quite honest, I think they're still on one of my mods somewhere. I just have to go back in the rack because I took those pictures. When did I actually take those pictures? They're 2018. So that was 3 years ago that I bought those coils. But I mean, when you see them, I mean, they're just amazing. Like they're wound tight and perfect. I mean, there's no inconsistencies with them, and it's just, I mean, Shane's got a great business and a fantastic presentation, and they're great coils, and so I encourage people to get coils from him. I mean, to the beginners who are just getting into the installation and building process, you might not want to go this route because you don't have a lot of margin for error to screw up. You might be better off with that Coilology 7-in-1 kit. But if you've got some installations under your belt and you're just not in the market to be a builder on your own, Shane's product is hands down. I mean, look at that. I mean, it can't get any better than that.
What I loved about them too was the leads, nice long leads, because sometimes you made a mistake and at least you had a little extra room on those leads to if you did make a mistake cutting them when you were putting them on.
and you notice how he puts the little bend in it right on the last wrap there. Like if you're a goon person and you have clamp RDAs, Shane's got you set up right there. You can't you don't have to bend anymore. That sucker just sits right in there.
Well, that's the thing with some of the different sets and stuff that people get is when they do the measurements on, say, the ohms of the coil themselves, they do it from one lead to the other lead.
Right.
So when you install it, it's not going to be that exact ohmage. So with these are going to be different because you actually have that length to trim off, and you're going to be more exact.
Yeah, well, and I think things have changed a lot over the years too. Like, a lot of the ADIs and RTAs and things that are coming out, everyone's got their own installation system, and a lot of things have gone to postless deck styles and a lot of other stuff. So, you do get into some configuration issues where, that particular thing might not work. Well, so my question to Shane is Shane, I know that you have a kind of a preset kind of, product line that you put out with some variations, but can customers contact you for, say, some kind of a custom request, like a certain number of wraps or a particular diameter, or they want a certain wire configuration that maybe they can't find on the website? I'll stop sharing.
You didn't have to stop sharing. I just didn't know if you wanted everybody to read your chat.
Oh.
Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, I'll take requests and do special things for people, an extra wrap or leads pointing the opposite directions, or wrapped in reverse, those kinds of things. For the most part, we have a lot of variety on the site, but there's so many devices that, there are situations where people want something special, and just go ahead and ask.
Yeah, because one of my things a while back was I know you can defeat it by taking half a wrap off or something like that. I mean, there are ways around things always. But one of my challenges was at the time was finding certain coil builders who would make the coil with opposing leads. I noticed you have MTL coils. John showed it on the website where it had the opposing leads, like for single coil RDAs or RTAs, things of that nature. When, I'm just saying, someone who might be a little bit newer into the framework might not understand that you could remove half a wrap, and then there's stuff like that. Whereas you got a nano wasp or something like that, where they got that kind of clamp kind of lead style or something, and you need the leads going the other way. A lot of times you'll hit coil builder sites and they don't even have this option.
I got a question for you, Shane. How has the MTL coils been selling? Is that becoming a big seller for you now, or because a lot of people are going in that route? It seems
it is picking up. I'd say in the last several months, they're starting to get quite popular.
It's funny. Everyone gets scared that e-liquids is going to go away, and everyone goes back to MTLs. It's just okay, I can't vape 60 mils a day anymore because it may be gone tomorrow. So let's go to mouth to lung, up my nic level, and go in reverse order. It's just funny. It was funny a couple years ago just seeing so many of the veteran vapors buying these disposables like it was this great new thing. And it's dude, we've been down that road already. Why are we going backwards again? It's just it didn't make any sense to me. And me being on IG a lot, all of a sudden I started seeing, where are all the box mods? Everybody's taking pictures of, mouth to bun devices or some disposable or, some, I don't know the names, all the names on top of my head, but Sigelli has them. Everybody's got a little vape device now, and it's taken off. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Shane, we want to thank you for joining us today. Whoa, hold
I have a
back.
question from chat. Do you
Oh,
carry
yeah.
mesh coils?
Oh, good question.
Sorry, pardon me?
Do you carry mesh coils?
No.
No.
There you go, Phil.
Have you
Yeah.
gotten into the mesh side of that?
No. As far as building with mesh, I haven't. No.
Okay.
No.
Nah, he wants to
Sure.
build. You can't physically make a mesh coil. I mean, I guess you could.
No, I wasn't sure if you used it with other things besides just the mesh itself.
No. I don't use any mesh. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No mesh.
I've built some stuff that looks like mesh with
Yeah.
30 gauge cores on a eight of those staggered together. Kind of looks like mesh at the end.
Then you flatten it with a hammer.
No, that stuff is already, because it's so tiny. Like
They're so tiny. Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you for joining us, Shane, and we appreciate you taking the time coming on here and answering some of our questions. We're going to jump to news with my man there, Tim. If you're welcome to stay, if you like. I know it's kind of late for you, but if you want to stay for the rest of the show, it's about another 45, 50 minutes. You're welcome to stay. It's up to you.
Well, I sure appreciate you having me on, and I had a lot of fun, and thanks so much for inviting me, guys. It's been a blast.
Yeah, it's awesome having you on here. And everybody, guys, really, you got to check out his coils. His coils are amazing. Tim, what kind of life? I still have your coils in my drop, and they're still perfect. Can't hear you. You're muted, Timmy. You're muted. There you go.
People don't like when I pantomime?
I mean,
no, somewhere behind me and all of that stuff, there are Saddle Horse Blues coils still in there. So I just have to go and find. I just don't remember what I had. To be honest, it's 2018, John. I'm blind.
Yeah, I know. Yes. So Shane, if you want to stick around, that's fine. If not, no big deal. But we just want to, all of us here want to thank you for coming on, and it was really nice of you to take the time and answer some questions for us and some concerns we have with Canada and the U.S. hopefully working together and trying to figure it out and come to some kind of agreement and leaving us the hell alone for maybe a decade. I don't know. Well, you know how it is. Everybody says, well, the science isn't long enough. They don't have enough data. Well, okay, leave us alone for the next 10 years. You'll have 20 years of data and then figure it out. But right now, leave us the hell alone for the next 10 years. So you're welcome to stay, but we're going to jump into, let's, round of applause. Round of applause for Shane. I was trying to sneak into Snoop Dogg for you, but I couldn't find that one spot for you to get the Snoop Dogg. But we're going to go ahead and jump into news with Tim here.
Before I get started, I just want to say John has way too much time on his hands.
I do.
Yeah. No, it's obvious.
I'm a tinker.
I'm picking on you because I don't know how to do that stuff, and I'm super jealous because I can't. I want to have little dudes pop up on my screen. Maybe I'll figure out how to do that next week.
You just tell me what you want, and I'll get it for you.
There you go. I just spent a truckload of money on that thing hanging on the wall. So my resources are tapped right now. Anyhow, all right. So let's jump into the news. All right. So this week was super hard, and it is getting harder and harder and harder to kind of find good news stuff, like the happy story, like the positive thing. So it's just difficult. Like, you really have to go deep to find something. And I feel like when I do find the happy stuff, there are op-ed elements, where it's like, you're kind of talking to the echo chamber, because I think that that's a really convenient thing for a lot of us, because we all kind of know the deal. And, when you read the happy ones, they're usually the ones that really only cater to us. Yeah, that's wonderful. So today I decided to pick on two different articles and one advocacy one. Of course, I always have an advocacy one at the end. Talk about grades. Everybody likes grades, right? Everybody remembers getting a report card from high school and hiding it from your parents for like a week because You got
The
that incomplete on there somewhere.
The ones we docked. The ones we docked.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. Tell you guys a story another time about how I went and actually altered the grades on the report card and I got found out. But anyway, that's a whole other story. Please, no one in the chat group hate on me tonight because I will get a little bit more global at the end of all of this with the second article. Don't ask why I picked Minnesota. I blame Bill Tarling for this one because it was on his vape distortion page and he called out Minnesota. So I'm talking about Minnesota right now. But I didn't go digging for an article about me. If I had my druthers, it would have been about North Dakota, but there was nothing on North Dakota. So this one is about the American Lung Association, and Shane brought this up. How disappointing it is to see some of these big dogs jump in the fight. The CDC, American Lung Association, American Heart Association. They're all kind of getting and putting their gloves on and jumping in the ring. So apparently, the American Lung Association does an annual report card every year that gets passed back to not only the federal government, but to all the independent states. And they like to call it what they'll say is a roadmap to helping states and the federal government better regulate or proceed with regulations and or marketing campaigns to try to get people to quit or prevention methods and things like that. So they put this out every year. They're on their 19th one. I wanted to show everybody what one looks like on a state level report card. And don't fear Minnesota, just because these results may not be the best. I think 45 out of the 50-something states got the same grade. So, it was one big pile of doo-doo on their behalf. But what the American Lung Association does is they take a look at different factors within the sphere on exactly what that state is doing to try to either prevent people from smoking, cut back on people from smoking, address the youth and get them not smoking and stuff like that. So, but again, this report card tracks federal and state efforts to protect people from the adverse effects of tobacco, which we know from a combustible perspective kills 500,000 people every year, right? So it's a no-brainer. We already kind of know that data exists. Unfortunately, I hate articles like this because they love to conflate. They will take vaping and use it in the same frame of conversation as a tobacco, as tobacco when because of regulations. Vaping is nowhere even remotely close to tobacco, but they like to conflate the language. So I just wanted to kind of briefly show you Minnesota's grades and kind of how they break it down. So they look at the smoke-free workplace laws. They want to see how effective that particular state is with the smoke-free workplace laws. And they got an A in that category. And I think that that's probably pretty standard for most places. I don't think that there's any jobs that you can go to where they aren't smoke-free to some extent, right? Even if it means you got to go 100 yards away from the building, I guess theoretically that makes it a smoke-free workplace. It's not like the old days with accountants and their green accountant hats, just smoking away on calculators, on 10 keys. As far as tobacco taxes in Minnesota, they got a B. So that means that they are pressing the citizens to pay higher tax prices, not only on tobacco, but I just insert the word vape anywhere in any one of these sentences, and you will pretty much have your answer. Even though they like to kind of disguise it. Coverage of and access to services to quit tobacco, cessation services, they got a B. What does that mean? Familiarize me with I see the commercials on TV. Like, you want to quit smoking now. Call 1-800-QUIT-SMOKE, or whatever. They like to come up with some crafty little thing. But I don't see too much of it in print. I spend enough time in social media. I don't see it. You don't see them plastered all over the front of C-stores or the front of shopping malls. Quit smoking today. So they got to be. So they're doing something okay. Funding for tobacco prevention programs got a big fat
Yeah, they did.
All right. And I think that that is another standard across the board, because one of my arguments here would be, well, MSA money. I know that Bill mentioned that Canada doesn't really have that program, but here we have the MSA the Master Settlement Agreement, by which states get money from the tobacco organizations for revenue based on cigarette sales. They're supposed to take a portion of that money and put it towards prevention programs and campaigns, and they don't. They put it into roads, or they put it in, or they pay off those bonds that they've defaulted.
Yeah.
All right. Ending, and of course they end it with this one: ending the sale of flavored tobacco products, a new category in this year's report. Which means what, kids?
Yeah.
Vaping. It's the world isn't all about those grape cigarillos that you're finding inside the C-stores. This is all about what are they doing to end the flavor. Now, this is their roadmap, so you can pretty much guess the trajectory on this one, right? So they claim that Minnesota has an economic cost of $2.519 million and about 6,000 deaths annually attributable to smoking. That's their number.
Yeah.
American Lung Association is calling on lawmakers in Minnesota to reduce tobacco use by prohibiting the sale of all flavored tobacco products, secure sustainable funding for prevention strategies, and raise the tax of all tobacco products by significant amounts. The mentality behind the taxation of tobacco products is about revenue. They think, or they at least like to put it behind the guise, that if they raise the taxes on tobacco products, that you'll just not be interested anymore. You want to know the truth? People will pay the money.
Yep.
They will pay for it. I've been to Australia. A pack of cigarettes in Australia, in AUD, Australian dollars, is about $24, $25, maybe even more now. I don't have the conversion rate, but I can tell you that, you know, it's a significant amount for the average Australian citizen. They still buy cigarettes. They will pay that $24, $25, $30 to get their cigarettes. So I'm not convinced that raising the taxes has any effect on reducing the number of smokers and or vapors. In fact, what these politicians are trying to do is build revenue and get revenue back and put money back into their general funds so that they can pay for, I don't know, parties and, fun other things, campaigns that basically attack vaping, in the negative ways. But again, this report card is pretty consistent. I will share the link with Brian. You can actually go online to the American Lung Association. I looked it up, and you can dive down and you can actually find the state-by-state grades based on these particular 5 categories. So if you're interested in finding out, like, let's just take a look at this one, for example. Tobacco prevention and cessation funding. All right, so there's your legend, all right? If you got an A if you're green. Apparently Maine is and Utah or in Alaska, well, what? They're like North Dakota. They have like
I knew he was going there.
300 people that live, in all of Alaska. Well, North Dakota, you could fit like 20 North Dakotas inside Alaska. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
You could fit all of North Dakota.
Brian's not going to leave me in the will. I know that I know I'll get written out next week. But Maine, Utah, and Alaska they fared well. They got an A grade. So apparently, whatever it is that they're doing is reasonable for them under their standards. California is pink. They got a B. And then look at North Dakota. North Dakota got a C. So they kind of came in down the middle, and then everybody else just yucked it up. We're just doing a horrible job. Everybody's dying. We're all
terrible people.
Yeah.
Terrible people.
So, yeah. So, I mean, don't feel bad. Minnesotans?
Yeah, Minnesotans.
Minnesotans? I don't know.
Well, that article also did a rating on the federal, correct?
Yes, and we're gonna get into that, John. I would not leave this group.
Oh, I thought you were ending it right there. That's why I was like,
I am ending it on the state level.
Oh, okay.
So my takeaways from that first article were, I said the 2 things that stink in this article is that they conflate vaping and smoking because they like to call it a tobacco product. Nicotine vaping, as far as we know, has not resulted in any specific deaths, and vaping is a verb, so I'm not talking about the Valley THC cart people. And due to the conflation and the use of the word smoking due to public perception, they imply vaping also puts people at a higher risk for contracting COVID. That's another thing they slid in there. People that vape and smoke are at higher risk of contracting COVID. Show the proof. There's no proof. That's just that's a horrible whataboutism, guesstimate because exactly. That's all right. So let's jump to article number 2. This one actually is a continuation of. I didn't really realize that until I got into the soup to nuts of that article. But this one is about the American Lung Association effectively putting their boxing gloves on and trying to influence lawmakers and politicians to basically install an all-out flavor vape tobacco. Well, not so much a tobacco ban, but they want to get rid of menthol. The menthol, they can't stand the menthol, right? Because that affects the demographical communities that are targeted to be menthol smokers. So they think that by getting rid of menthol that they're just going to, stop all this from happening. So this article, and I won't go into a lot of detail, but this one basically goes on to talk about how they're grading at the federal level. So more of the same from the previous article. And the American Lung Association is encouraging the Biden administration to take significant action that the past 2 administrations left unfinished and ensure that the FDA uses to its full authority to fulfill the requirements of the Tobacco Control Act that was passed 12 years ago. And we all know that in 2015, Obama signed off and giving the FDA in America oversight of vaping, basically all of tobacco. So the FDA really is the mechanism to quantify vaping in the same breath as smoking. So here we are on a federal level. So let's take a look at those particular grades. Federal government regulation of tobacco products, they got a D. Shocker. Federal coverage of quit smoking treatments. Now, forgive me, but isn't like Nicorette gum and all of the FDA-approved cessation methods just plastered in the stores where they're just easily accessible, have nicotine in them because, God forbid, don't let nicotine get out on the market because it's an addictive device. Now, granted, I don't agree. I don't think kids are going to go into the C-store and buy Nicorette gum to get their Nick buzzed. Okay, I just don't think that interests them at all. So I kind of feel like that argument is a little weak when people go, well, Nicorette's orange, but you're going to take away orange flavored vape. Yeah, I do think it's unfair, but I just don't think on the same level kids are as interested in a cessation method over vaping. Level of federal tobacco taxes, they got a F. Okay, now, I thought taxation was always at the state level. I'm not aware of any federal tax that's paid. Now, unless they mean businesses having to pay a federal tax. Like now here we go with the PACT Act, right? I mean, the PACT Act, that does affect smoking because for clarity for anybody watching who maybe didn't catch some of the other information out there, the PACT Act states that as long as you follow this certain set of guidelines, say, for example, register with the Attorney General, and you keep logs of all your customers and you report your taxes and all that other stuff, and potentially have to pay taxes on those sales to the federal government, you can still ship tobacco products. In America, if a company wanted to, they could ship cigarettes if they wanted to. But they choose not to because they don't want to register for the PACT Act, because they don't want to pay the money, they don't want the bookkeeping that comes along with it, and they don't want to pay those additional taxes. However, with the USPS ban, that pretty much knocks that thing right off the table. You could sign up for it, but you still can't even ship it. So at any rate, so level of federal tobacco taxes. So I guess that they're trying to claim that the federal government is not reaping enough from the tobacco industry from a taxation perspective. Federal mass media campaigns to prevent and reduce tobacco use. They got an A. Well, you know what? That's true. That's very true, because I got to put up with PAVE every day, and I got to put up with the Truth Initiative, which is the lie initiative. Okay, they don't tell the truth one iota. Tobacco Free Kids and all these other organizations that are out there, including American Lung Association, the Heart Association, the CDC, all these federal programs have mounted campaigns against vaping. So yeah, no wonder they got an A on that one, because that's where the government likes to put their money. Federal minimum age of sale for tobacco products to 21. They got an A on that one. I totally disagree with that. That would have been another, Shane, one of my questions. Like, if you could give up something, what would it be? Can't vape until you're 25. No, but there was somebody that lobbied for that. They lobbied for that because they claim that the brain is not fully developed until the age 25. Yeah.
But
Go ahead.
12 walk into a hardware store and buy a chainsaw.
Exactly. And we'll send our kids overseas to fight, at 18. But they can't smoke a cigarette, but they can sure as shit die for our country. Can't drink a beer. None of that, because they're too immature to handle that stuff. But they can handle a 50 cal or drive a friggin' Abrams tank. Yeah. I'm not saying anybody has a bad day and turns the tank around and comes back. But it could happen. It could happen. Driving too. I didn't know that. Some states the driving age is much higher than other ones. I did not know that. I could drive at 15 years, 8 months. So.
Yep.
All right. So basically, this article is a nutshell. The president and CEO of the AMA, his name is something Wimmer. It's in this article there. I forget where. Harold. Any guy with a first name Harold, probably a Chad. But but sorry to all the other Harolds out there. But Harold Wimmer, president and CEO of the American Lung Association, believes that the PMTA implementation and enforcement are priority. So we're kind of going through that now. And he also believes that removing all flavored products off the market are exponentially going to be beneficial. He also wants the tobacco industry to be held accountable for the targeting of the black communities for selling them menthol cigarettes. And he wants to see a full-on ban of menthol cigarettes in the communities of color. So I disagree. I just think that some of these policies are just. My argument against that and removing flavors, or at least from a cigarette perspective, I think they're foolish. I just don't think that the tobacco companies are at the point where they're willing to just concede to that. I think you'll probably see a lot of these laws or this legislation they would try to pass in terms of menthol flavor bans. I think that they'll be challenged in lawsuits. I just think the government stands too much money to make from the tobacco companies for them to just roll over and be like, yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll just quit making menthol cigarettes.
Well, what's no problem. They did that in Oakland, and people are just like, well, that's stupid. All I got to do is go across the street to Alameda and go buy a pack of menthols. So it makes no sense banning him in one section like they did in Oakland, because it was just like,
well, keep this article into the framework here. I mean, this is on the federal level, right? Yeah. So we're talking about basically taking away from a government perspective, which would mean everyone would lose it.
Yeah.
And I just think it's dangerous. I think it's a dangerous policy. Yes, we don't want people smoking. We would prefer people vape or quit. But, if you have an alternative, but I just think that it's dangerous, because if that's what you like, if that's what you smoke, if you're going to force somebody to try to end that habit by taking it away, it's childish, because you're going to take that person and you're going to compromise that person, because you're going to put them into an environment where they're going to try to replicate that in some way, shape, or form. Yep. And it may not be the healthiest way. Someone will figure out how to dip cigarettes in some liquid menthol somehow, let them dry out, and call them menthol. And you don't know sometimes where that stuff comes from. And I just don't understand why these politicians are willing to risk people's lives in that regard. Just basically sacrifice them by throwing them underground and turning them black market. But I digress. The report commends tribal and non-tribal casinos for reopening as smoke-free venues, and it lauds Colorado and Oregon citizens for voting to raise taxes on tobacco products. So that was their only happy moment out of this. Other than that, The world is doing a horrible job at regulating tobacco. Vaping is not tobacco. I'm sorry. They are doing a horrible job of that.
Give them an F, Tim.
Any questions on either of those two articles? Anyone have any
No,
information to add?
On that federal ban on menthol. Now, I mean, I don't know how that would work, because then the states can still decide whether or not they want to apply to that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately you do have that autonomy for the states to decide what it is they want to do. I mean, I guess you could look at it in the same vein as sort of like the marijuana argument, where you say, well, the states legalized it, but on a federal level, it's still illegal. So I think you're going to have, I think probably what you would see come out of this would be sort of the handoff where, say, well, if the federal government passes this particular type of law around that particular thing, the states can't exceed that.
Right.
I think they can't make it any more stiffer. But if you say ban menthol cigarettes, I just think if they did this, it's not anything that's going to end up on Biden's desk or pass any legislation anytime soon, because those types of bans will be challenged by lawsuits by the tobacco companies, not by Joe Schmo who's got a cigarette shop or a smoke shop around the corner who's got his customer who loves menthol cigarettes. We're not going to see menthol smoking campaigns on Twitter. It's going to come from the tobacco organizations that produce these products that realize how much revenue they're about to lose by them taking, which is exactly kind of why what happened in California happened, right? The law that was supposed to go into effect January 1 got delayed because a petition was signed, which was driven by the tobacco organizations, because their precious menthol cigarettes are on the chopping block along with everything else. Now the vapors jumped in and said, "Hell yeah, I'll sign it."
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did look up Minnesota too, and they let's see, they had $706 million. They spent, let's see here, what was it? $706 million. The CDC recommended that they spend $52.9 million towards harm reduction, and they spent 12. So that tells you that's just Minnesota. All the states have been doing that. None of that money is going where it's supposed to be going. And what's sad is they don't have to tell you where it's going. So that's the sad part.
Yeah, they don't. They don't. I mean, that money that they bring in does not go towards what it's intended for. And I encourage people here on the chat who don't know anything about the Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement in America, just go ahead and read up on it to try to understand the backstory to it, and it'll kind of paint a clearer picture for you in terms of why it is that the tobacco companies are so fervent on A, preserving their own business, and B, staying out of court, and C, trying to crush the vape industry, because we basically were putting a tremendous dent in their business. I mean, because the vast majority of the vaping industry is not big tobacco. We all know that, right? I mean, we can't stand or don't like to be represented by big tobacco, although we have some infiltrators, and there's a few in there, like Juul and a couple others that have are getting, basically bought out and funded by the big tobacco companies, and they have some of the larger market share that's involved here. But, I mean, the vaping community doesn't want big tobacco involved. But yeah, the Master Settlement Agreement would explain a lot for everyone if you're just unclear as to why things are happening the way that they're happening. So yeah, all right. That was that. So that was your grade.
I sent a link to Brian. I can't share it for some reason, but that link will take you to anyone that wants to see the breakdown state by state on the Master Settlement Agreement. It'll show you the breakdown to each state. Yeah. So it's just a map with each state. You move your pointer to it. It'll tell you how much they got from the Master Settlement Agreement, how much the CDC recommended that they spend, and how much they spend. So it's a great resource, guys. And Brian,
I don't know, does everyone? I do partially agree with Bill. Bill said big tobacco also knows if you remove menthol cigarettes, almost all those smokers would simply switch to regular cigarettes if that's all that's available. I do agree that would be their alternative. I also think that sometimes that's a tough switch. I mean, I think Bill said he was a menthol. I mean, Daniel, Daniel said he was a menthol smoker.
Yeah.
And once I quit, everyone started going crazy over menthol. I don't understand. There's no difference in regular or menthol. They both taste the same. Shit.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. You know, I used to smoke regular cigarettes as a younger kid. Like when I started when I was around 14, 15 years old. There was a transition. I just started hanging out with different crowds and different people, and they all smoked menthol. And I switched to menthol because that's what was around and what everybody. And when you would bum one, that's what you would smoke. And rightly so. After many years of menthol smoking, when you'd be out with your friends and you'd be like, "Hey man, I smoked my last one. Can I bum one off of you?" And they're like, "Well, I smoked some like Marlboro Lights." You grab a Marlboro Light, and it was like 100 times worse. It just tasted like dirt. Like straight dirt in paper,
Yeah.
you know? And so I don't know. I just feel like the menthol crowd will try to find a way to turn that into a menthol, whether you got to suck on you know, some mints at the same time. I don't know. I'm just saying, I feel like someone would be a chemist in a back room somewhere, unpackaging, you know, regular packs of cigarettes, turning them into menthol somehow, repackaging them, selling them on the street. There's always a vacuum, right?
Hey, Tim, can Shane answer that question real quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so the difference between aliens or fused or round, the aliens have unique wicking properties. So it's you get a little bit of juice on anywhere on the coil, and it'll start, because of that S shape. I think it's capillary action. It'll start working its way through the entire coil. A fuse don't do that. They're a little easier to build, and they don't give as much flavor, but the aliens are going to give you the better flavor. And as far as round wire goes, a lot less flavor.
Yeah.
Because with round wire, most people would, well, I don't know, I've seen them go both ways. A lot of people kind of subscribe to the spaced coil
you
on a
gotta
round wire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You try to cover as much surface of the cotton as you can with the round wire.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying, is like you reduce surface area on the coil itself. Right?
Yeah,
So,
flavor's all about surface area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Good question.
you. Get over it.
Good question. All right, let's talk about
Yeah,
advocacy. Let's talk about advocacy, right? Because that's always the last on my list. This one is actually the happy story. This one here is our happy story.
Great, a happy story?
Yeah, with as much BS that's going on with regard to our inability to kind of use advocacy to our advantage. I talked about Montana last week and how I told everybody to kind of keep their eyes peeled on House Bill 137 because we talked about a particular county. I forget the name of the county, but they were in the process of trying to install a flavored vape / smoking ban in their particular town. It was up for some amendments. I do believe that there was some questionable stuff because I think the legislators at that time were questioning where the money was going because they wanted to raise taxes and a bunch of other stuff. And they didn't like where the disbursements were going. So they were going to amend that over the week. However, in the meantime, there was a House bill on the floor at the state level. And the author of that bill, I don't have his name. I'm sure if you click, I did mention it last week, but if you click on House Bill 1, I'm sure Bill Tarling can find it in like 2 seconds. House Bill 137, the author of that bill was a newer guy to the state legislation in Manitoba. Good God, Tim. Man, that sounds like a Canadian city, Manitoba. Montana. He actually owns 3 vape shops. So he didn't like the bill basically, the bill he was trying to get passed through committee was a bill that would preempt and prevent local politicians, health organizations, or health departments and bureaucrats from restricting businesses through occupational licensing, tax hikes, red tape, and otherwise costly and burdensome local ordinances. So this was a bill to override the municipalities from having the control to regulate vaping. whether it be in the C-stores, closing down vape shops, instituting flavor bans, on any particular level, they went back to the state level, and this bill effectively knocks out anybody's ability to do that at the municipality, city, county level. And a big part of this article went into discussing about how they talked about liberty and people's right to be entrepreneurs and start businesses. And when these cities and municipalities attack these businesses with these heavy-handed regulations, whether it be taxation or ordinances and stuff like that, is that the argument would be, well, if you don't like the way the laws are in this particular town, pack up and move. And their counter argument is like, a lot of people invest a lot of money in their business. They have to come up with capital to get that business started. And when you tax them to death, now you're tapping further into their resources, because I think a lot of people would understand that if you run a small business or your own private business, it takes a while to kind of get up there. You're going to put quite a few years probably into probably being in the red, or close to, or just slightly into the black for a lot of years. Your resources are the money you make goes back into keeping that business alive. So they just wanted people in the state to have the ability to not be taxed to death and ordinanced to death and have these heavy-handed regulations. So as far as Montana is concerned, end all be all here is that any regulation will come from the state level. Will be at the top, will be state level regulations. Now, I don't know where this goes from here as far as I think it's nice to know that Montana has someone in the vaping court to try to fight for them, which is probably would be beneficial for a lot of states and even at the federal level, but we don't really get that so much because obviously we're facing even bigger challenges here. But one thing that was brought up too, and why this bill kind of had some success, is Montana was doing their own observations and talked to a lot of health experts and people who have been kind of on the outside observing what goes on in all these other states with regard to flavor bans and restrictions and all the what-to-fors that are happening in this world. And one thing that has stood out, and they've seen immediately, and they have evidence to even prove it, is that they know now that these restrictions and bans are pushing people towards more carcinogenic products, moreover smoking again. And that's one thing that they're not happy about, because that's not really necessarily what they want. So I don't know if this is something that hopefully will snowball a little bit, and some of these other places will start seeing that, and they'll see that they're getting more people smoking, and it's not about just less people vaping or kids not vaping, because the kids, I'm sure, are subject to the consequences as well. Daniel, I'm reading that while I'm trying to stay in the frame of advocacy. I'm like, really? Is it an NI-80-90 seemed? Okay, no, I'm sorry. I'm playing around. Anyway, but that's it. So that was your good news. So Montana, any of your counties, they can't screw you over. I don't know if any Montana counties are currently in flavor bans right now, and this bill causes all that to be retroactive, and they would have to pull back those policies. I imagine it would. Yeah. Yeah. So any particular county in Montana, if you reside there and you had a flavor ban, odds are they probably get that reversed. So go visit your shops, support your shops.
Well, I'm just surprised. I just looked at, they got a pretty high smoking rate there in Montana.
Yeah, are you reading the article?
No, yeah, I just pulled up Montana smoking rates, and there's 16.6% of the population smokes there.
Yeah, but what's the population level though?
I was just getting ready to do that too.
Yeah, I mean that sometimes can make things a little bit more relative. I don't know. I think smoking's still a pretty popular thing.
Yeah.
I look on Facebook and all I see is pictures of people's cigarettes hanging out their mouth. Yeah. I'm like, here, you want that?
1.1 million.
1.1 million. So what's 10% of that is 100,000. So so almost 200,000 people smoke. So go vaping. No,
go vaping.
Anyway,
thank you, Tim.
That's
for
the
news, brother. Always good.
Welcome.
Let me give you your. Let me give that. There's a Timmy boy. Shane, would you like to answer that question right there for our man Daniel?
Sure. I like to use N80. That's my favorite wire to work with. As far as builds go, lots of times I'll have nichrome and kanthal mixed because I'm aiming for a certain resistance or a certain size. And my favorite coil for flavor myself is the staggered Ivies. Have you seen those ones? It's like it's a staggered coil, so it's got the back and forth, but in the middle it's got a wavy.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
You can actually see the wick through the coil.
Yeah,
That's.
And
You
that's
got
my
those on your
some.
site? You have those on your site? Are
Yes,
you
I do.
making those? Oh, okay.
Might have
I
to
will
buy me some.
have to go check those out now.
I want some wavy coils.
I wanted some wavy coils too. I'm
Yeah.
going to go look at. Let's see here. Let me get this off of here.
Well,
All
that's
right.
one. Well, I know.
Go ahead,
I have a question for Shane while we're sitting here talking about it, because I don't know if this is any one particular thing that was addressed, right? Because Shane doesn't just ship to Canadian customers; he has the ability to ship literally anywhere he wants to.
Right.
So, given the newness of some of the stuff that's just recently happened since the omnibus bill, have you looked into your options, or have you investigated into how you might still be able to get things over the border?
Yeah, we're looking into it, and we're scrambling like everybody else, right? This timeline it's coming, and for right now, my understanding is that like we can use DHL internationally, and Canada Post will take our packages. So I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to play out, to be honest with you. But like I said before, we're not going to leave anyone hanging.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
kind of
just build like a big catapult and just
Daniel, we are
shoot it
live
over
on
to me.
Facebook.
Just
Sorry.
yeah, just put it on a snowblower, turn it on, put it in sixth gear, and just. Well, I'm hoping that Mr. Bezos says, "Hey, I can make more money here and just ship all this vape product through Amazon, and I'll get it to your house in 3 days."
I mean, my opinion on some of this is that I think in the realm of like wire, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, Shane doesn't have to necessarily state that he's shipping a vaping coil. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I highly even doubt that a customs border inspection guy would even know what he's looking at if he even took it out of a box.
I think it's cowboy gear with the name.
Well, it's silly, right? Because the wire that I'm using is the same wire in your toaster and your hairdryer.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, and that's what I mean. And I've been telling people that I said, well, it's e-liquid really that's probably going to be the biggest challenge, because that's the most obvious one. I've noticed that around the internet, people are starting to switch to other verbiage to describe e-liquid now. They're calling it essential oils as a code word.
No, I already just started. I've been forcing myself to stop saying e-juice now to e-liquid. Now you want me to call it something? It's never.
Well, no, I'm just saying, as far as like the eagle
Yeah.
has landed code words are going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Essential oils is what they're preferring to call it now, because you could call it eucalyptus, and it would look like. Anyway, I'm just saying
Yeah.
the things like batteries, wire, cotton, those can be extremely nondescript to the point where it's hardly explainable. Shane could call it toaster wire. I mean, they can't dispute it.
Nope.
It just comes in a in a little neat little
fancy
package.
fancy toaster wire.
And I'm certainly not trying to say that everyone should be looking for some kind of odd loophole to get through the system. I'm just saying products like that, I think, are going to be more feasible for people to get their hands on via mail or regular channels, whereas other things that are far more glaringly obvious probably would be the harder ones.
Bill makes a good point too. I just saw in the comments where calling my coils replacement parts.
Replacement parts.
that are required to keep a device running that was purchased legally.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
It's just maintenance supplies.
Yeah. Before we jump into our other segment, I got a quick question for you. As far as an 80 and 90, are we going to see anything even lower coming out as far as that, or are we done with the wire as far as?
Well, I mean, it's possible. It's just if people buy it and start using it. Like I have a couple rolls of Band 60.
Man,
right? But I don't use it. Like, I know some people like the N90. I don't personally use it very often because it's
Is there a difference in the way you wrap?
well, it's a little bit more pliable wire. It's softer, and it has a lower resistance.
Yeah,
The same 8 wrap or same 5 wrap build will be a lower resistance.
lower resistant. Yeah. Do you dread using 40 gauge wire like I do?
No, I don't. I use 40 all the time.
I hate you. I hate you. Ding, it breaks. Ding, it breaks. Yeah, I'm done. Anything that's thinner than hair, forget about it. And that is thinner than hair. We're going to jump to this man down here. Tom is going to bring us some entertainment. And Tommy boy, are you ready, brother? All right.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Alrighty then.
All right, Tom, get it all out. Get all that frustration out right now.
That intro never gets old. All right. So today, with Valentine's Day coming up, that's one of the topics. But I'm going to save that for later. I'm going to start with a little bit more serious stuff. And that's the other topic, which was a lot of this pandemic bullshit. Because there's just so much. It was really hard to narrow it down to a small list. All right. And the first one up is mask mandates. It's real simple. We know the shit's there. If we're not feeling well, we should wear one. If we're not feeling that bad, we shouldn't wear one. Leave it up to the people. Simple. Don't be telling us what we can and can't do. That don't work well. Number 2 is lack of social activities. Concerts, sporting events. I'm a security guard that works these events. I've been bored. It sucks.
You're just thinking about the money, you bastard.
That too. I miss making a lot of money. I'm kind of greedy like that. I can't help it. And now I'm going to get a little more serious with these next few. People stuck in bad situations with no outlet, like people going through domestic violence, child abuse, etc. That just sucks. There's really nothing people can do, and it's upsetting. What'd I miss? Oh, exchange rate to Pandora.
Me and Bill have been just going back and forth exchange rates.
I see that. People turning into assholes, hoarding stuff like toilet paper, ammo, food. Knock it off. Let other people have a chance to buy that stuff too, especially toilet paper. Leaves and pine cones suck.
I got lots of toilet paper. You need some, just let me know.
I'm good.
Well, especially with the winter coming. I mean, there's less pine cones.
Yeah, and less freaking leaves on the trees, man.
Yeah.
Ice is cold.
I know. And you can't wipe with it.
No, not well.
You can buy diaper wipes.
Yeah, but them aren't flushable. They will fuck up your septic system.
I do have a vaping thing that ties into Tom's comment about the hoarding.
What do you got?
Well, it was brought up, and I didn't realize it, because a lot of people are thinking about going DIY because of the vaping shipping issues. So a lot of people are like, well, I'll just stock up and I'll DIY. Shane, do you DIY or do you buy pre-made e-liquid?
A little bit of both.
Okay, fair enough. So, and I don't DIY. I've never DIY'd, let alone take a 6 and a 0 and make a 3. I've never even done that. But one of the things is a lot of people are thinking about heavily stocking up on nicotine, like buying years worth of nicotine to keep themselves sustained and or turn into a DIYer and fill the vacuum and provide people with e-liquid. I'm not saying that is recommended. I'm sure people do a good job at it. But you can only have nicotine in the freezer for so long, kids. So, it's going to spoil, it's going to go bad, and then you're going to have a lot of money that goes down the toilet because you got a bunch of bad nicotine. So just think about that. But what people were bringing up is that a lot of people are going that way and hoarding up a lot of the nicotine and essentially choking out other people who might want to take that route and go DIY and get their hands on it. Anyway, that was my point, Tom. I agree. Don't hoard.
Right.
Don't be hoarders. Leave some toilet paper for Tom.
Yep.
No, I have plenty, but there are other people that may not. All right, this next one is something that I have experience with myself, and that's the increase in mental illness outbreaks because of the paranoia, the depression, increase in suicides with the anxiety and everything that's currently going on. And what pisses me off about it is the stigma and lack of social understanding behind it all. The just get over it mentality. It's not that simple.
Right.
Reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, reach out to anybody and ask them one simple question. Hey, how you doing? Are you okay? Do you want to talk about it? And listen. You may not be able to give them advice or help them or whatever, but sometimes just listening will help. And I can't stress that one enough. Just listen. Be good people. It's not that difficult. All right, now we're on to the lighthearted stuff. Valentine's Day was made up by chocolate and card companies to guilt people into relationships and telling other needly people that they do love them. No! No, God! I'm very much anti-Valentine's Day.
Well, why, Tom? Would you be if you had a girlfriend?
Yes. Because my reasoning is, why should I love her on some random ass day in February any more that one day than the rest of the year or rest of the time I'm with her?
So that means you just be giving her chocolate every damn day.
Every day.
God, no.
Every damn day.
No.
Okay.
No.
Here, baby,
I do
here's
have a
that Swanson beef stroganoff Happy Meal. Let's just
No,
Netflix
I
and chill.
I don't Popeyes and chicken, or Popeyes and yeah. We'll leave it at that.
Well, I do have a box I can send you. I have to send you yet, so there's gonna be a bunch of Valentine's Day stuff in there.
Yeah.
I will burn it all up. I'm just saying. I do not like Valentine's Day.
Bunch of red and white glitter popping out as you open it up.
Like Amber said, Amber, women don't want chocolate.
I'm not sending you any Valentine's chocolate now, Tom.
Good. I don't want any. I'm not a big fan of chocolate.
You're not getting
Now,
nothing.
Now, if I did have a girlfriend, I would get her flowers and stuff like that. Stuff that actually means something. Not candy to make her diabetic and all that. No.
Make her diabetic.
All right. In my opinion, the best thing about Valentine's Day was the massacre on St. Valentine's Day back in the gangster time. I'm sorry. It was.
I don't even know about that.
What?
Oh, man. Capone whacked a bunch of people way back in the 20s.
I'll be on Google after the show.
St.
Valentine's Day Massacre.
St. Valentine's Day Massacre, yeah.
Happened
Where
in
they dressed
Chicago.
up as cops.
Uh-huh.
Pretended to arrest some gangsters, had them line up against the wall, and then they shot them all dead.
Right.
What a wonderful time to live in.
Oh, it was fantastic. I wish I could. If I had a time machine, I'd go back to that decade and just watch.
Just watch.
Wow. And my last one, Valentine's Day is nothing more than an overrated non-holiday. That's it. There's nothing special about it. I'm sorry, I don't want some little cherub-looking sumbitch in a diaper shooting me with a bow. I have my own.
That's what she said.
I'm good.
Well, at least we found you a good Halloween costume for next year.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Well done, Tom.
Do you feel better, Tom? Do you feel better?
Yes.
You feel better? Good. All right. That's all that really matters. We want you to.
Do you have heart pills at the ready after this segment? I just want to make sure you're not gonna.
No, I don't.
You're not gonna lock up and. Okay.
Would you like to know my heart rate at the moment?
No, I'm sure. Yeah.
See, since he started doing this segment, less cows have been tipped in Wisconsin. That's why we give
We
him
also started this in the wintertime, so there
what
might
Bill
be something
said.
like that.
Look at what Bill said. Bill said, if you really love someone, give them a real beating heart in that chocolate box. Mom always said, life was like a box of heart muscles. You never know which one you're gonna get.
Saturday Night Live sketch, the dick in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that probably goes back to what Amber said earlier about the other things that women wanted on Valentine's Day. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've always been fortunate enough to be single on that particular day.
You give man a gift.
Is it
I like that.
That's fortunate
kinda...
enough, or was it on purpose?
Yes.
It was on purpose. he dumped her on the 13th, and then they got back together on the 15th.
15th, yep.
Hey, there are guys that do that. Christmas,
and they do it on Christmas, around their birthdays. Oh yeah, it's a thing.
Guess what? We're breaking up. But my birthday's tomorrow.
I guess we have a new rant for next week.
Yeah. Or the guy
give her a fancy drip tip.
Yeah. Or a fancy drip tip. Hey! Some of those drip tips are like $20.
They ain't cheap.
You think about it,
Just the tip, babe. Just the tip.
What I don't like about Valentine's Day is I get the holiday, I get that whole thing. The one thing I don't like is when roses go from $25 to all of a sudden $85.
It's kind of like vaping.
Yeah. That's what pisses me off. It's just like you go in there and you're like, and you forget. It's like something you think you would remember every year, that the prices of roses tripled on this day. But you kind of forget for some reason. You get in there and then you're just like $85, and you're just like with your card, like, okay, what?
Yeah, I think we're, and I'm a guy speaking for guys here, but I think that sometimes what lacks in that process is the ability for guys to be a little creative.
Yeah,
it's like we just flowers and chocolate.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a million other things you could do for Valentine's. Get her a spa treatment. Or
leave her alone for the day. Do the dishes.
Or do I don't know, like an escape room, or I don't know, something fun.
Escape room? Jesus. What are you doing? You tying her up, Tim? What are you doing?
No, not that kind.
Not that kind of escape. This is not the movie Saw, John.
Tim just locks her up in his house.
Hey, honey, do you want to play a game?
You want to play some games?
Want to play a game? Anyhow,
I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this real quick unboxing. So I am going to go up here, and I'm going to do my best to do this, guys. So let's see here. We're going to go something like that. There we go. That work? No, that kind of cuts you guys out of it, huh?
That's fine. No. Leave it, because I like it. I can see it. We don't need to stare at each other for this segment.
All right, guys, I'm going to do a quick unboxing of the Inikin ARES-2 MTL RTA from Phil and Dimitri, and I'm going to give you guys the features. Am I holding? I put this thing here to let me know that is the middle, so hopefully I'm doing this right. It is a 24 millimeter RTA. It is constructed of 304 stainless steel and polycarbonate. Tank is 4 millimeters. It's a 2-post deck, single coil design. 6 millimeters by 3 millimeters terminals, top side mounted Phillips head screws, that's a mouthful, peak insulator, top slide to fill system, single large fill port, high capacity tank reservoir, adjustable single bottom airflow. I'm going through this whole thing. 5 airflow settings, not 1, Tim, not 2, but 5. 5. It's Delrin.
Unheard of.
It's unheard of. The 510 gold plate connection. And what's in the box, Tim? Tim, do you know what's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? Well, hopefully the tank's in there, because if it's not, maybe get a hold of Inikin or the vape shop that you bought it from, because you have a problem. But there should be a tank in there. Should be 2 spare pre-built coils. Should be 1 cotton wire set, 1 spare screwdriver set, flathead, a Phil build toolkit, and a Dimitri build toolkit. So it's up to you. If you want to go Greek or Italian, I go Italian because the food's better. Sorry, Dimitri. Don't get mad. The food's better. You're going to have 1 screwdriver set in there, a spare glass tube, a spare O-ring set, a spare drip tip. God, it's like I'm selling a car here. 1 vape band. That's important. The vape bands they kind of disappeared. It's good to see them coming back. And 1 quick starter's guide. I'm going to cut this box open real quick. I'm not going to go into. I'm not going to go into
yourself.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, go, Tim.
For all that, what are you paying?
I have no idea. I think it's $24.95 on some sites, and it's between. Yeah, it's between 20. What I noticed between 25 and 34. So it just depends. And this one is the D24. So this is a 24 millimeter in black. And it's one of those. Oh, look at that. It's got the little, look at that. It's like a jewelry box for a Valentine's Day gift. No, I'm just kidding, Tom. Look at that. That is pretty cool. I think that is pretty unique. What I do love about this is the friendship that these two guys have gotten through vaping. And I think that's awesome. I think a lot of people that are not vapors don't understand how this community works. So let me get that out of the way. Wow. You got the little card from the boys and their signatures. And I'm not going to read that because, John's eyes suck. We got the tank. How's that? Does that look good, guys? Is it coming in?
Yeah,
nice?
It looks really good. Yeah.
Okay. There is the tank. It is in black. And
Hey, John?
yes, sir.
Open that flap up a little bit more.
Okay.
On the box.
Oh, yeah. This is good right here. Find more under the tray. I
We're
like
the Phil and Dimitri heart with the arrow.
Yeah, with the P and D in there and I will go see what's in the bottom of the box here. Look at this. There's our vape band. Woo, baby! Look at that. I'm going to use that.
And there's those bags that Dimitri was talking about.
Yeah. These got
biodegradable.
They're biodegradable. Thank you, Tim. And I think this is one of the kits. This is the dual. The kit's in this one. Your spare glasses right there, and this is kind of cool because I think their little kit that comes with the 2 coils. It looks like 2 space coils. I did not see what they're using, but I'm assuming it's probably 24 gauge. You think, Shane?
26 gauge Canthal, I believe.
Is it 26? Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that in the listings on the sites. But here's your tank. You got your slide up here. Which way?
Pull the drip tip out.
Oh, that's right. Good call. Thank you. I forgot about that. And then you push it? You sure?
Yeah. Find the arrow.
I got the arrow. See the arrow right there?
Push it that way.
Push.
There you go.
There it goes.
It's new. It's new.
And if you flip it over, on the bottom of that slide out part should be another heart.
What? Really?
Not that. Open it back up. Yep.
Right there?
Open that part back up. Now flip it over.
Are you kidding me? Can you guys see that? Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
that's really
unique
cool.
branding.
Mm-hmm.
Unique. But it's a good looking tank. I'm not going to rate it or anything today because I haven't really used this 24. But I'll give you guys a quick look at the deck here.
Yeah, I just want to see the deck.
There is the deck. Not bad. Looks pretty easy. K-Funish like, I should say. And then I guess that's I got to do some more research because I didn't see anything on the notes here from the website. But I think you can change those, right?
That center part is adjustable.
Is adjustable, right? You can kind of turn it or something like that. I'll have to dig in more, but it looks like it's the I forget the name of this build deck. Shane, you know it? It's a Type 2.5. I can't.
Or the K-Fun, old K-Funs, but
I mean like the raised deck from the Juice Wells. It was a Typhoon. What was the name of that? I forget. They had a name for this.
Oh,
I can't remember. I think it was Typhoon or something like that. But that's the deck, guys. It's got adjustable airflow on the bottom, and it's at 5 different positions. Not 1, not 2, but 5. And that's the deck. I mean, I don't know if I can get any. Is that good enough, guys? Right there.
Pretty healthy wicking channels.
Yeah, it looks like some pretty good healthy screws in there too. It does look like some chunky screws in there.
Yeah, I think the only uniqueness in that particular one is you have to be cognizant of your leads on that one because it's not reversible.
It's not reversible. And there's the chimney and the tank comes apart. Let me see.
Don't break it. You just got it for free.
I want to cut my fingers. I want to cut my fingers on a live broadcast.
Conical chimney.
Yeah, chimney. You got the branding right there. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, you can see it. But pretty cool. I will let you guys know next week's show on what I think and if I enjoy it and all that stuff right there. But
Hey,
looks like
Toasty, Velocity style decks are a little bit different. They're like two posts with multiple holes in it, and you can misalign the coils. Like if you like a Velocity style deck just has a different presentation. I think
right.
that,
I know they had a name for that. I know they had a name for when the deck sits above the juice well up higher, and I thought it was called
Yeah, it's a GTA style.
GTA style. There it goes. Yeah, I knew they had a special name for it.
Genesis?
What is that? Who said who?
Genesis, I think.
Genesis. I thought it was like Typhoon, something like that. I just can't remember. I know there was a fancy name for that style. GTA. Maybe Daniel's right. That does sound right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, there's a name for it when the deck sits on an RTA. There was a couple companies that did it years ago first, and I can't remember who it was. But the deck sits above the juice well, and the wicks would run straight down. I think iJoy used to have one with their RTA. I think they were one of those. Yeah, I can't remember the name. I know they got a fancy name for it. Well, that's our show, guys. We do our goodbyes right now. Tim, shoot me with something.
I don't want to shoot anybody.
Okay.
I'm here to help, not to hinder.
Well, you can't buy any bullets anyway.
Peace, love, and peanut butter and jelly. Look, Shane, big time. Really happy to have you on the show tonight.
Yeah.
Was really looking forward to this particular show just to get the chance to talk to you. So thank you for coming on and sparing a little bit of your time. It was fun to have you here. To everybody in the chat, thanks for being here. Thanks for the comic relief. We'll try to hand it right back to you. And I got nothing else. Till next week. Let's do this again. Vape on, vape strong.
Brian.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Have any questions? Feel free to send us an email. Let us know. Have any people that you want on the show? Let us know so we can try to get people on that you guys want to watch too. So,
You're a good man, Brian. Tom.
Yes, sir. Shane, I want to thank you for taking the time to be on our show this evening. Thank you to everybody in chat for showing up and, like Tim said, providing comic relief.
You're not allowed to say what Tim says.
I didn't.
Okay.
He reworded it. It's not the same.
added to it.
He didn't plagiarize.
All right, no
No.
plagiarizing.
And like I said in my segment, be good people and check in on your friends. If they're feeling okay, if they're not feeling okay, just listen to them.
You're a good man.
That's all I got. See you next week.
Man, Tom. And Shane, thank you again for coming on with us. It was awesome. I was trying to get somebody from outside the U.S. and your name popped up in my mind because I see you guys on IG all the time. So I said, Shane's who I want. I'm going to get him to come on, and I appreciate you coming on and taking the time and answering a couple questions for us and kind of helping us understand how things are there in Canada and how they're getting more and more similar to what's going on here. And we appreciate you helping our viewers understand that what's going on here is going on there as well. And thank you to our viewers. And thank you for the questions that came in. And I'm going to give it to Shane, and Shane can do his goodbyes to our show. Shane, it's all yours.
I just want to thank you guys again for having me on. It's been a pleasure to meet you guys, or more of you, in person. And yeah, it was a good time. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. All right, guys, if you are new to the channel, what do they do, Tim?
We're supposed to smash that subscribe button and smash that little bell so you get all the notifications.
Tom, where's the bell at?
Over there somewhere.
It's to the right of the subscribe button. It's gray. You can't miss
it's
it.
down there somewhere.
Yeah.
You'll find it. It looks like a bell.
It looks like a bell. And Brian, what time does this show start? In all
my
the
time,
locations?
8 p.m. Central.
The only one that matters.
Google the rest.
All right, guys. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you again, Shane, for coming on. And we'll see everybody next Wednesday at 6 p.m. on the ZampleBox YouTube channel.